Okay, Year 8, we're going to start on our first part of volume and capacity. And what I think is important here is that you're going to need to make some notes, and we're going to talk about some certain things. So the first thing we need to look at is what is volume. So you need to read this, and we're going to make some notes. And so if you pause the video and read through this. So now that you've unpaused it, this is what I want you to write. Volume is the measure of space occupied by a three-dimensional object. You need a definition, and volume is how much space is inside a 3D object. We measure that space, so here's another one, in cubic units. So make that note as well. So you can have millimetre cubes, centimetre cubes, metre cubes, kilometre cubes. But we also measure volume, or have another term for it, and it's capacity. You need to write that definition. Capacity is the volume of a fluid or gas that a container can hold. And we measure that capacity in units like this: millilitres, litres, kilolitres, and megalitres. So now we have an understanding of volume, the space inside or occupied by a three-dimensional shape, and capacity is particular when we talk about fluid or gas, and it's how much a container can hold, its capacity. I would strongly recommend writing down these two conversions, because now we're converting cubic units, we have to multiply by a power of 3. And I'd also strongly recommend writing down this conversion. So just pause the video, make your notes. Now you've paused the video and you've made your notes, you come back to this bit. Now I actually don't like this bit because they just give you the volume and they don't tell you what you're doing. But if you want to remember this, and it's how we're going to attack these questions in this exercise, you can just multiply for a rectangular prism the 3 different sides, the length by the breadth by the height. So if you want to write that down, I'm not going to do it that way later on, but it's how they're going to do these questions for this exercise. So what you should have now for your notes is you should have a definition of volume, you should have a definition for capacity, you should have how we measure volume, and you should have those 2 conversions written in your notes. You may also have the volume of a rectangular prism. And we're going to define a prism and how we find the volume of a prism in the next lesson. We're going to go with that one today. I don't like it because we haven't proved it or shown how it came about, but we will get there. So we start with question 4. Now these are very easy, and I'm not going to do all of them, and I want you to check your answers on them. We're going to do 4, question 5, question 6, A and F, and then questions 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. They'll be harder, but if you mainly get through question 4, 5, 6, A and F, that should be enough. So what are we going to do? Well, I'm going to do the first one in 4, so I'm going to do 4A. And remember, the volume of a rectangular prism was given by length, breadth, and height. And those variables those letters just represent the 3 sides. So in this one, 3 times 6 times 2. Well, 3 times 6 is 18, and 2 18s are 36. What units is it? Centimetres cubed. So there's 4A. Now, I'm not going to do them all, but I'm going to do C because it's slightly different. It's a cube, but it still has the same formula. So volume is length, breadth, height, but all the numbers are the same. The length is 3, the breadth is 3, and the height is 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 nines are 27. We're in millimetres cubed. You should be able to do the other ones now. Question 5. Now these are conversions, so we're going to have to use our conversions. So I'm going to do a cubic one, and I'll just do a mils. So I'll do 5A. If you can do them on your own, I've got 2 litres, and I've got to convert that to mils. So if I go back up here, what do I do? So I've got litres, and I've got to go to mils. Oh, I times by 1,000. So 2 times 1,000, and now I'm in mils, or millilitres. So 2,000 millilitres. Now, let's do a harder one where we have to go, I don't know, C. And I've got 0.5 megalitres, and I've got to convert that to kilolitres. So again, and you should have written this somewhere, I'm going to go up here, and I've got megalitres, and I'm going to kilolitres. Well, that's multiplying by 1,000 as well. So 0.5 times 1,000. Now I know what that is, but I'm going to use my calculator, and so should you, just to make sure. It's 500, and that's kilolitres, 500 kilolitres. Okay, you can do the others, but I'm going to jump now to a unit of measure. So I'm going to convert, I'll do F and H. So F, this time I've got 50 centimetres cubed, and I've got to make that into, what am I converting that to? Sorry, mils. So I'll go up here, and this is the other thing you probably need to write down. 1 centimetre cube equals 1 mil. Okay, so if I go down here, 50 centimetres cubed, well, that's the same. It's 50 mils. And notice we use a small m for mils, because if we use a big M, they'll think it's megalitres, so small m. So that wasn't too hard. What about 5.1 litres? So this is H, 5.1 litres, and I've got to make that into centimetres cubed. Well, I go up here, and I'll use again. Now, 1 litre equals 1,000 mils. So I'm going to make this into mils first. So I'm going to times by 1,000, 5.1, times by 1,000, and that'll give me 5,100 mils. But I also know that 1 mil equals 1 centimetre cubed. So that's 5,100 centimetre cubes. Now, I'm only going to do 6. You only have to do A and F. So I'm going to do, I'll do 1 in centimetres and 1 in metres. So over here, 6. I'm not going to do A because that's for you. I'll do 6B. Now, my volume is 60 times 70 times 10. And I'm going to put that into my calculator. 60 times 70 times 10. 42,000. So 42,000. That's metres. Sorry, it should be centimetres, I think. Centimetres cubed. But they want the capacity in litres. Well, I know that 1 centimetre cubed equals 1 mil and 1 litre equals 1,000 mils. So if I can get it in mils to go to litres, I just divide by 1,000. So I'm going to go back. 42,000 centimetres cubed, well, that's 42,000 mils. And to go back, remember I divide by 1,000, which is 42,000 divided by 1,000. Now you can do it on your calculator, but smart people are going, oh, that's 42 litres. And that's 6B. I'm going to do, so that was a centimetre one. I'm going to do, now E will be hard, but you don't have to do it. Oh, sorry. I'm going to do a metre one, so I'm going to do E. So this time I've got metres. Metres, I've got 6, 4 and 1. So the volume is 6 times 4 times 1, which is 24 metres cubed. Now, I'm lucky because back here, 1 metre cubed is 1,000 mils. 1,000 litres, sorry. 1 metre cubed is 1,000 litres. So if I go back, we've got this. So I'm going to have to times by 1,000. So 24 times by 1,000. And that's going to be in litres. That's just 24,000 litres. And I'm just checking to make sure I'm right, and I am. So that's our introduction to volume and capacity. Make sure you've written some good notes on what volume is and what capacity is, and you've got those conversions. You can have a go at questions 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. They're difficult, but you should be okay.